Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Sistrunk of Premier Group, and we are here today. It is 3 o'clock, and we're here to talk about the EIDL loan funds, do's and don'ts. I hope that everyone can hear me okay. If you could just drop a comment and say that you can hear us, that would be great. I just want to let you know a little bit about who we are. We've been in business for actually over 15 years now, which we just celebrated last week. So we're still super excited about that. We are, we have a money multiplier process that empowers you to be confident in your numbers so you can focus on making your next $1,000,000. We have been featured in American Express. We help clients who've been declined by other banks to get PPP and EIDL loans. We help our clients. We've actually been able to help clients secure over $8 million of PPP loans, EIDL loans, and state grants and loans. So we are excited to be having this conversation with you today. So the questions we have been getting asked, SBA just last Friday said they were going to reopen the portal for the economic injury disaster loan program. And so they opened the portal on Monday. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, but they opened the portal on Monday. So if you have not applied, this is a perfect time to apply. Who qualifies? Any business that's experienced some type of loss during COVID-19. You had to be in business as of February 15, 2020. You can be any type of business, sole proprietorship, nonprofit, or cooperative, as long as you have less than 500 employees. So with that, the phase one of the program, the max loan that you can get is $150,000. Initially, when they started this program, they said they were going to give people up to $2 million, but what happened was they ran out of funding so quick that the SBA made an executive decision just to offer the max loan of $150,000 in phase one. They may at some later point have you come back and do a second application if you still need funding, if you need additional money. The good thing about this program is that there is no loan guarantee because the loan is less than $200,000. The interest rates are some of the best around. If you are a business, it is 3.75. If you're a nonprofit, the rate is 2.75%. You have a term of up to 30 years to repay this loan, which is great. The loan is deferred for 1 year from the date you actually receive the loans. And that is a wonderful thing. In addition, it has a feature that nothing else has, in that if you have employees, they will give you an EIDL advance of up to $1,000 per employee, up to a max of $10,000. So if you meet those criteria, they will give you an advance, and in addition to a loan. The biggest questions we've been getting is because most people, one, this is a scarce loan. When it opened the first time back in March, most people, I believe they closed the window within 10 days. So this is not like the PPP where you can take your time and you can think about it. It's either you're in or you're out. They closed that window within 10 days, and people that applied back in March are just starting to get their funds now. They're just starting to get their application to say, hey, check to see if, checking your eligibility and checking your identity. So that means that took almost 60 days for them to get in the loan queue. So when this closes, they opened it on Monday. If it only lasted the last time 10 days, this, I can imagine, is going to be about the same this go round. You need to make a decision about this now and put your application in now. If you happen to be one of those people who applied the first go round and you got a letter of denial, this is the time to go in and fix it, call us, or seek help so that you can figure out what the issue was the first time around, because some of the terms they used, I think, caused people to put in the wrong information, which would make you look like you didn't qualify for this loan. But again, we've helped people get these loans. We've even helped people resubmit their documentation and successfully get the loan. So we are definitely here to advise and to help you. Some of the big questions we've been getting asked about, however, is what are these funds for? The EIDL specifically is for working capital. So we know PPP was for payroll, but this can be used for payroll. It can be used for accounts payable. Any vendors that you had, you can use this to pay 1099s. You can provide sick leave. You can obtain material. You can buy printers and equipment. You can use it for rent or your total mortgage payment, not just interest. You can use it for almost any obligation that you have that you can't meet because of the revenue loss. So that's the good side. So you can use this for almost anything that is business related, for that is a regular, ordinary expense in your business. What you can't use it for is dividends and bonuses. You can't use it to pay back owner loans. So if you've loaned the business money, you cannot use these funds to pay yourself back for those loans. You can't use it for stockholder or, again, other loans that you have. You can't use it to expand your facility. So you can't say, you know what, I don't want this wall in my office anymore. I'm going to use these EIDL funds to knock the wall down. You cannot.
Joy, we have a question coming in from Ms. Bianca Jackson. She wanted clarity. Can she in fact still apply? And I'm adding this part. If a person is to apply, how could they go about applying?
So I put the link in the actual description. So you actually just go directly to the SBA website, and it's sba.eidl.gov, and they have a 3 to 4 page application that you have to complete. And so you can still apply. It is still open. I am encouraging everyone who has not applied to apply, because when this first came out, I think there was a lot of confusion because people were saying, I haven't been impacted yet. And that word "yet" is important because at this moment, we see all of these states starting to reopen, and it seems like the economy is on the uptick, but that's not really hard because we've been closed for so long. But what happens when we start to have this second wave? What happens when we get into October and November and time is marching on and things aren't moving as quickly, or we've seen that second wave of COVID and they still may not have a vaccine? So we're battening down the hatches and preparing for the worst. That's really what these funds should be used for. And that's why you should be applying now, because when this window closes, there's no guarantee that it's going to reopen again. That's what I've been saying about these funds and the PPP funds. You just don't know. And so it's important that while these funds are available, that you make sure that we are accessing them and that you have them for what is next. And that's just going to be good planning for your business.
And second part to that, I know you mentioned the SBA website. What is another way that they can apply?
They could also contact us if you would like us to do the done for you package and put everything together for you and to submit your application for you. You can contact us today and we will get your application submitted so that you do not miss out on getting these funds.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the other things that the loan funds can't be used for are leasehold improvements. Again, you can't use them to fix your building up. You can paint, but you can't knock down walls or build a new. I had one client ask me if she could renovate her home office. That is not what you can use. You cannot use these funds to do that. You cannot refinance long-term debt. So long-term debt, I know this accounting thing, is anything more than a year. So you can't use this to, let's say, refinance your car, even if it's a business asset. You can not use it to refinance other SBA loans. And so it's going to be important that you use these funds properly, because this is, again, similar to the PPP funds. As long as you have this loan, at any given time, the SBA can come in and ask you, how did you use these funds? And depending on the use, if you've used them incorrectly, they can call the whole loan in at that time or raise your interest rate because they can say you used it incorrectly. So any questions about EIDL funds?
With the EIDL and what you just said about them being able to come in at any time and ask what you need a loan for, once it's paid off, is there a look back period where they can come back and say, we want to check now? Or once it's paid off, is it just?
Once it's paid off, no. They do have a look back period because they can always look at what you use the funds for at any given time. Even if the only way they wouldn't do that is if you gave it back before the year's time frame is up. But if you used any of these funds for something else, they can look at it to see it. There are also, the other thing that people need to understand is the SBA used an existing program to create the EIDL loans. So it does have some other quirks, such as it says that it's attaching to your equipment and they don't want you to sell, printers or sell any of your fixed assets. It also says that it doesn't, if you need to move, you would have to get SBA approval. Personally, and in my professional opinion, I believe they are going to have to make updates just like they did with PPP, because they don't want to be flooded with calls every time someone needs to move because their lease is up. For example, our lease is up. It'll be up in December and we have to move. So they don't want to have hundreds of people like me calling to say, hey, I need to move. So they're going to have to loosen some of those restrictions, and we fully expect that to happen. So you do want to stay within what they say you can pay, but you don't have to be as stressed about, do I need to confirm with them when I'm ready to move? If I need to sell something and it's a business decision, you still have to run your business. And so that language is in the loan agreements, but I fully expect that in the next probably 30 to 60 days, you're going to see changes to what's existing right now.
All right. And another question came in. Is there any part of the EIDL loan that is forgivable?
Not $1 of the EIDL is forgivable. The only funds that are forgivable are the PPP funds. EIDL is a loan. It is 100% a loan. It will be due over a 30-year term. It will not, in no portion, I don't expect any portion of this to ever be forgivable.
So considering it's not forgivable, is there an interest rate associated to the loan?
Yes, if you are a business, it is 3.75%. If you are a nonprofit, it's 2.75%.
So for anybody out there who has a social business or what they consider a socially responsible business, you are still considered a business. Nonprofits have to be
a 501c something, 3, 4, 5. That you have to be some type of 501c3 to be, and churches are always considered nonprofits, even if they don't have a 501c3 letter.
So I just want to echo that. It's not for people who self-proclaim their businesses to be for the community, or if it's a community type of business that you feel is doing the right thing. If it's not appointed by your governing agency or governing body, then it's not considered a 501c3.
Right. That is correct. So, any other questions about EIDL?
It doesn't look like that.
Okay, perfect. So on that note, that not only are there EIDL funds available, but there have been massive changes to the PPP program from where we started. When we started, you had to spend the funds within 8 weeks. Everybody was scrambling, and it was this whole stressful thing of how you were going to spend the money in the time frame. Well, last Friday, it was signed into law and approved that the time period for using PPP funds has gone from 8 weeks to 24 weeks from the date of disbursement. And if you don't get a disbursement until August or July, the last date you have to use PPP funds is December 31st at a max. But if your 24 weeks runs out before that, that's what they're going to hold you to. So you can elect to use the funds over a 24-week period. One of the other major changes was that you only have to spend 60% of the PPP on payroll. The other 40% can be spent on rent and utilities. So that's a good change for people who were concerned about spending the money. The other thing that has happened is you now have a December 31st deadline to rehire any employees that you may have had to lay off during COVID-19. But what didn't change is that you still cannot pay any one individual person more than $15,386. That has not changed, and that will not change. If you've received your PPP funding already, you can ask your lender to move instead of being a 2-year loan, you can request that your lender turn this into a 5-year loan, which is amazing. That should help quite a few people. That also gives you quite a bit of time to work through what is forgivable and what's not forgivable. So you need to go to your bank and you can actually request them to change your term from a 2-year loan to a 5-year loan. The other thing that you can do is you can also defer your payments of the loan until loan forgiveness is determined by the bank. So if it takes them a year to figure out that whether or not you can be forgiven, you don't have to make payments for a year. So while that status is pending, these are all good things that Congress actually enacted, and so we're grateful that they were able to come together and make these decisions to really help businesses as we try to navigate our way through this trying time.
All right, one question came in. I'm rewording it a little bit.
Okay.
Considering your company created the PPP tracker, will the changes in the PPP change how the tracker works?
It will change how the tracker works. And so what we're doing, actually, that we looked at it yesterday, we are finalizing the tracker that to incorporate these changes. And if you've already purchased one of our trackers, we're just sending you the new tracker with a video so that you can update it properly. And so you can be walked through and you don't feel like we just dropped you off a cliff.
And for everybody who's watching live and doesn't know what the tracker is, can you tell us what the tracker is?
PPP tracker actually tracks all of these dates that we are talking about. It tracks the change from 8 weeks to 24 weeks. It tells you how much you spent on payroll versus rent and utilities. And it helps you to have a succinct way to know how to actually present this to your bank. Because at the end of the day, the PPP loan, as we've even heard on this call, everyone is interested in forgiveness. In order for it to be forgiven, you have to show every dollar that you spent this information on. So the PPP tracker is a great way for you to kind of organize your data and have your supporting docs all in one place so that when you need to do the forgiveness application, you have everything together and it keeps you on track for what needs to be spent.
All right, and we had a question come in asking, has there been any change to include 1099 workers for the PPP in particular?
No, so the PPP won't include 1099s because each of those 1099s were eligible to either apply for the PPP loan or to do unemployment. So since they have those options, that you're not going to be able to include them in the PPP loan or forgiveness. I don't expect that change to ever occur.
All right, and if a person is looking to see what else falls under the 60% with the new rules, other than payroll, where can they go to find out that information?
So you should actually, that was in your bank loan document, but I can tell you there are only a couple things that fall into payroll. It is actual payroll, which is gross payroll. Before you take out any employment taxes, health insurance or deductions, is gross payroll, is health insurance, and it is state unemployment taxes. Those are really the only three things that fall under payroll, except for also, I'm sorry, it would also include sick leave. But if you're doing gross payroll, it captures all that. So it's gross payroll, health insurance, and then state unemployment insurance. Those are really the only three things that fall under payroll.
All right, we had a question come in, and I'm not sure I understand it. So I'm wondering if this is just something you will understand.
Okay.
The question is, so they get to apply the PUA. I don't know what the PUA is.
I'm trying to think. I know I've heard it. It's escaping me.
So let me do this. You can keep going. I'm gonna ask clarity of what the PUA.
Okay. So again, EIDL, PPP, two separate loans. You need to track both of them. They both have a look back period. Whoever the PPP loan came from your bank, it will ultimately be approved by the SBA, but it came from your bank. Your bank will determine loan forgiveness. For the EIDL, it's simply, once you're approved, you will have to possibly submit information to the SBA if requested to show what you spent the funds on, but you do have it's a 30-year loan. We do not anticipate it ever being a forgivable loan, but it is more of a long-term loan to assist you, because in the history of businesses, there's never been a time when you got a 30-year loan or even a 30-year loan that doesn't have any type of loan guarantee, They pulled your credit. They did one, I think they were doing a hard pull on Experian, but they're not basing it on your credit. Because even we've seen some clients with not so great credit get an EIDL loan and even a PPP loan. So none of these loans are looking at your credit. That is different than at any other point in history. This will not happen again, and it is abnormal. And so I'm encouraging you to, even if you're a little bit nervous, and I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't want to take a loan." It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Because once these funds are gone, if you go to your bank and say, I missed out on all this money, but now I need a loan, they are going to look at you and say you don't qualify for these loans, and they're going to pull your credit, and they're going to want you to put your house up. They're going to want you to do all of these things that you don't have to do right now with either of these loan programs.
Yes, and to that, the response came in, PUA is talking about the pandemic unemployment.
Oh, okay. Yes, you cannot, the original question was, can you repeat it again for me?
So they get to apply to the PUA in a question mark.
Yes, if the 1099s that you have right now, if they're not working, they can apply for pandemic unemployment assistance, and they would get it. We've had some of our companies, our clients, they're not 1099 employees get, or 1099 contractors get the PUA assistance. So yes, you can, and quite a few of them have. The issue may be, just as a sidebar, that if they got a PPP loan and PUA, they may experience that's an issue. They shouldn't have gotten both, and they'll probably get audited because of that. But yes, they can apply for pandemic unemployment assistance if they're not getting paid.
All right, thank you.
So with that, we are here to help. If you are struggling, if you need to do a consult and say, you know what, I don't know if I qualify for any of this stuff, we'll put the link we'll put the link here for you to make an appointment with us, and we will consult with you to determine what your next step should be. If you know you want to apply for these loans, we're here to help. The price that we're charging for EIDL assistance is $499. And if you've been denied, if you've already been down this road and you know that they've sent you a letter and said you do not qualify for EIDL, and you believe that you do, and you want to resubmit, if you contact us, we will work with you to get that done. And the cost for that is $699. But we are here to help, and we're here to assist you through this process to ensure that you get the funds that you need, not just for today, but for the future of your business as you're looking forward. Everything's changing, everything's in flux. Now is the time to access these funds so that you can really make sure that your business is stable and can really maintain for the future. So thank you so much for your time. Any other questions in the chat box?
One question did come in. I'm just going to say, Catherine, with your question about the 24-week extension, if you go back to the earlier part of this live, that will specifically be answered.
Okay. So thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. If you need us, we can be reached on all of these different mediums. You can reach us. Our email is accounting@pgservicesinc. Our phone number is 301-577-6444. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. We also have our tracker available, and I will also drop the link in the comments so that you can schedule an appointment. You can schedule a discovery call or a consultation with us about these funds. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.